This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know nerds. This is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, I know it, I know.
S4Y, what's up? It's Joey Giles. I flip on CNN, flip on Fox News. I flip on the Vlogcast, the S4Y poker Vlogcast, and y'all are bugging. LeBron James, Drew Brees, Matt Berkey. I mean, I'm glad the conversation is happening. I want justice. I want peace. But do y'all even pay taxes? The do you know about the police department? And I'm a long-time subscriber, too. You know this. Yeah, I haven't been to the academy. Yeah, I haven't paid for the sub-site. I'm working on that. Effectively, the police just need better training and the union. Yo, Burke, you couldn't de-escalate a Twitter beef. You want to talk really tough topics? How you play ace queen off, yo? How you play this? I'm at a loss. Testing my patience. We're in a quarantine, by the way. I said I'll put him to bed. Don't worry about it. Let me just finish this. Christian, you're my guy, but you're Dominican, okay? Not exactly Thurgood Marshall. You even know who that is? No one voted for you, so keep the political commentary to yourselves. Or, as Laura Ingraham once said, shut up and bet.
All right, everyone, welcome back. The S4Y Vlogcast with a little guest edition from Joey Giles, our main man, throwing it back. Maybe he'll be around a little bit longer. Let's see what other topics we have. Today, the rundown will be poker cheating, how to play jacks, how to play ace queen, more poker hands, Postle hands, poker solvers, all kinds of poker talk today for all you that have a lot of requests. And then, of course, we'll have a little bit of a political debate towards the end of the show. So if you tune in that far, you're already committed. We put a ring on it. And that's the name of the show. Of course, it is myself, Christian Soto, your co-host for this wonderful afternoon. And we have our own problem solver, Matt Berkey. Welcome, of course. How are you?
Thurgood Marshall, huh?
Who's that? I don't know. He's probably black. What? I mean, that's the problem. Look, you're going to start a whole can of worms where it's like, well, the problem is really about the quality of education in America. The young man had A's, and he still doesn't know who Thurgood Marshall is. That's the truth. That's the truth.
I love Joey Giles, man.
History was one of my best subjects.
Was it?
Yeah, it was one of my best subjects. Probably my best subject, actually.
I wasn't a fan.
Main topics today, poker cheating. That's really what we're going to talk about today. So, been a lot of, I feel like cheating in poker has a little bit of an allure to it, though. Like some people feel like it's like part of the game. Some people feel like I got you, you got, like I got you, you didn't get me. Kind of the old school like Dole Brunson. Like Dole Brunson is viewed as like an OG, a legend, the Godfather. But he openly admits like bro, like back in the day, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different. Like,
Sure.
You had to get them before they got you. He was strapped too all the time. People don't know about that.
Well, his favorite poker story is watching a guy get his head blown off.
Yeah, it wasn't him. That's the whole thing. That's the whole deal. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about poker cheating. And by a little bit, I mean probably like 30 minutes. So it's relative.
Sure.
To where you think. All right. I want to start with a little bit of more of a comedic relief before we get into the whole big deal. So let's play one of the OG videos from back in the day. One of the more legendary videos on how to play pocket jacks. That's always a really tough one. And then I'm going to ask you how to play pocket jacks after this. Okay. All right. So let's play that clip. How to play pocket jacks.
These jacks here in late position, I chose to call because I had a couple aggressive players here, and I just want to be sure there aren't any big cards up there. A conservative style rock player here, as it's showing in my tournament indicator, has bet out 600 into the pot. It's 2100. I'm just going to shove it all in. I know he's too tight. He can't call me here unless he has aces or kings. I think he's a tight player. Well, he called it all in on a draw. Fuck. Off. Wrong fucking jack. Oh, shit.
It's a shame. Jacks are tough, man. Jacks are really tough because they're not, in the distribution of EV of all the available hands. It's in the higher EV and it over realizes its equity, but your opponent has a lot of equity share too. And that's what he was trying to accomplish right here. He was trying to flat and then push him off the equity, but it didn't work because the guy had a lot of equity. You see what I'm saying? It's a tough spot. It doesn't have that much of the pie. It has like 52.
Sure.
And then you have to push the guy off 48. And in this spot, the guy was actually a favorite.
Yeah. Right.
So, it's all fun and games, but there was actually one little piece there that I do want to kind of talk about to like bring us into this topic, which is, we were paying attention to the jack stuff, right? Like, and stuff like that. But under that, he had a software that was like kind of telling him where he lands in his M, what the other, like a little bit of a addition to like, hey, you probably should shove here. You probably should do this here. Things like that. And this was like, almost 20 years ago at this point. So it's nothing that we would consider today as being, cheating. But the software has gotten better, right? And we've gotten to a point where maybe there's software out there that's actually telling you what to do in a more complex situation. And we've seen some of those videos come out. So I want to play that video as well of what people would call now a real-time solver. So let's play that video, and then let's have a discussion on how to play jacks through the M as well as through the solver.
Sure.
All right, so what we're seeing here is this player is playing on GG. He has ace-10 suited. Looks like the real-time solves on the right side of the screen. And it's pretty much telling him like, okay, this is like a pure raise. Now he flops the king-high flush, and the ace-high flush, and he's going to get analysis on what to do here. And we see the solver effectively is playing ace-10 suited. I can't really tell. Can you see here?
Yeah, it's a mix.
So now he's choosing this sizing. Gets called. Now we're seeing the jack of diamonds on the turn. The solver,
pure bet.
The solver gives him a new output. He chooses what the solver says, and the player folds. Man, I wish I had this when I was growing up.
I mean, to be fair, that's not a solver.
It's not a solver, but it's definitely helping.
Yeah, it's real-time assistance. What you're seeing there is effectively an interface that is tapping into a bunch of pre-solved spots and basically just combing through that database to give you one simple solution. So if you look, you could choose between, I think you could only offer it one bet size, but there were a plethora of bet sizes that you could choose. He had it set to half pot, which seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, this is bad, but this is just botting. This is how bots function. Mm-hmm. They just scrape screens for data and then run through pre-solved spots and come up with solutions. The difference between this and botting is you can do botting at scale and play infinite. This is going to be probably reductive to maybe like a couple of tables at most, but this is going to be nearly impossible to detect. And it's only $20 a month.
I was gonna get to that. Okay, so this let's go through the progression of things that people use, right, in real time. So it started out with the how to play jacks, which is, it was kind of funny, and he had like the M thing going in real time. People I know for sure play with the raise your edge real time pre-flop solves. Effectively, it gives you like you have your screen here, and you have the raise your edge screen here, mm-hmm. and you plug in like MP 30 big blinds, your raise size, and it gives you the hands you raise, right? And then it also gives you like if you get 3-bet, like you plug in your stack size, his stack size, and it'll give you the defense range,
right,
for that for your positions and stuff like that. That's like we're teetering on like
no, it's cheating.
That's
cheating.
So
it's literally cheating. Like if you showed up to a live realm and you didn't have that available to you, your skill set just declines drastically.
Yeah.
So it's like I think we're teetering when we're talking about snap shove, because it's like the information that it's providing you is so limited and granular that I think that you still have to deduce a fair amount when you're looking at it. It doesn't consider ICM. It doesn't consider future game simulations and all this other stuff. But like when you're talking about like pre-solved things like this, maybe it's not cheating for online because this is available to everybody. But if you separate the two worlds and you now take that online person who uses these tools and softwares to operate their day-to-day job, and you put them and sit them down into a live arena where they can't do that any longer, they're fucked. Like they're fucked. And it's not an indictment against them as a player. It's not saying they're talentless. It's not saying that the live player is better or anything along those lines. It's just simply saying that you're reliant upon a machine to tell you how to do your job. And if you could, you would just be replaced. You would automate yourself, right? Like if you didn't, if that wasn't the line of demarcation from where people considered themselves to be a cheater or not a cheater, they would just automate the person clicking the button. They would just bot it, right? Because that's all that's happening. The only difference is that a human being is the one implementing. There's no skill in reading an output and acting. That's just botting.
There was some accusations that Linus was doing this at the high stakes before. Those were redacted, or at least calmed down. The flames calmed down. But, you know, I've had some conversations with some really high stakes regs, and they say, like, no, that happened.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing. I'm sure his program was not as simple as this one, given that, you know, Linus is a top tier pro using multiple bet sizes, multiple strategies. So, you know, this for $20 a month, pretty good. But I'm sure in the black market, there's way better softwares out there.
Yeah,
And
even
that-
just individually, I'm sure that you could hire a developer to do a better job just for yourself. And it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot of money. If the average person isn't using this type of software and you're playing against the average person, you're sucking up whatever win rate they possibly had. So for these big field events, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be worth a lot of EV whenever the bottom lines all shake out. At the high stakes, I don't know, maybe just everybody uses it. Maybe in order to get to the high stakes, you have to have this type of overlay.
Do you think this happens? Excuse me. Do you think this happens in the games you're playing?
On WSOP?
Yeah.
I think it's less likely just because they're a regulated market, but they also use 888 software, which I wouldn't trust as far as I can throw it. So yeah, there's definitely some shady things going on for sure. I'm sure people are breaking TOCs all the time. It's just a matter of how well can they police it and how quickly do they shut those accounts down. And we don't know because that's not public.
888 called in, said they're happy you're a pitcher and that you can throw them pretty far.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, I don't want to drop the topic because I feel like it's an important topic. So let's talk about back before things were as open as this. Like, we all heard stories of the dream machine, the machine that nobody knows about, gives you all the good answers. And according to the legend, it was Ike Haxton that had it, and maybe he built it, maybe he didn't, but he knows all the answers.
Sure.
And still today, Ike Haxton knows all the answers. Everybody still thinks that Ike Haxton knows all the answers, and he probably does know all the answers. So
if you built the dream machine, you have to have a pretty good idea of how the answers are derived.
allegedly, he built the dream machine. So the dream machine, we don't know what it is, but we assume it's a solver, right? It was a solver before PO. It was a solver before all the other solvers out there, a simple post flop and all this stuff, right? Now we've got to a point where there is like these real-time solver-ish programs. Linus allegedly has a real-time solver, that of which we don't know. It's like the modern dream machine. So is this just something that we should like accept? Like, okay, like your machine is better than my machine online, so like you
Win.
You win because you have a better machine. Like your internet connection is like
This is
super high
how
speed.
this is what happened to high frequency day trading.
You have fiber.
Yeah,
and
fiber
I-
optics,
And I
yeah.
have dial-up.
Right. The high frequency day traders fell by the wayside. They don't exist anymore because it's all being handled through automation now. And it's just an arms race for who can get the best technology, who can run fiber optics through the mountains and get it to places that they otherwise couldn't. And you know, it's going to be the same thing. I've been saying this for as long as this vlogcast has existed. Online is dystopian. It is headed down a self-destructive path where sooner than later the dumb money will stop showing up, and it's simply going to be an arms race for technology between those who remain. There's literally no incentive outside of the fact that you don't have to leave your house to play online if you're a non-professional. And if you're a professional, there's no incentive not to bend the rules. You have to compete. And the only way to compete is to ensure that you are getting top of the line software. So part of scaling to high stakes is probably looking into independent software that is going to help you in real time. And that's unfortunate because that's not talent. And that's not to say that those people scaling aren't talented. They probably would transition to live and do incredibly well, because even through the assistance, you're still learning a lot. You're still repetitively playing, close to optimal. And going through that repetitive process is going to instill into you what you're supposed to do. Like, you're going to recognize patterns. You're going to recognize tendencies that the solver likes and doesn't like, etc. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not curating talent from nothing. You're not actually deducing how these solves are coming to be. And I'm sure that that's happening also. But the point is that it's an unfair edge right now because it's not available to everybody. So that makes it an arms race, right? That makes it a like the best way to ensure elite is to be the one who has the superior software.
Chat's blowing up on Linus, man. They don't want us accusing Linus.
I didn't accuse Linus of anything.
I
don't
did.
know.
I
don't
said
know fucking anything about Linus.
I said allegedly that he might have the real-time solver. And then they went, don't say allegedly. Don't accuse people of this stuff. And I was like, well, I wasn't the first one that accused him. There was a wide thread on 2+2. There was a video by my man Finding Equilibrium on it. There was a bunch of people that said this potentially could be happening. Now, is he not a great player? Of course he's a great player. Is he not one of the best players in the world? Of course he's one of the best players in the world. Does he have a real-time solver? I don't know. Did Ike have the Dream Machine? Probably. Did he suck? No. Is he not great? Ike is great. What the fuck? You can be great and still cheat. Like, it's not as if like they're different.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, man? Is Phil Ivey not great? Yes, he's great. Did he get caught cheating? Probably. He cheated in the Baccarat or whatever. Like, Brigado don't want to pay.
Well, the thing is, it's all your definition, right? So like what Ivy was doing was edge sorting.
Yeah.
And it's not, by the gambler's definition, it's not cheating, right? It's seeing an edge and taking it down.
I agree. I don't think Ivy cheated.
Right, but like we could say the same thing about online.
Mm-hmm.
This real-time assistance, it's not able to be policed. I don't know that there's clear language stating that it's against the TOCs. And even if it were, like, those get played fast and loose all the time. We talk about ghosting. We talk about, the thing that happened with Jungle Man and Perkins and that whole group. It's like, where's the line drawn and who's policing it? It seems like it's everybody's own moral efficacy that is determining whether or not they should go forward. And like when we hear that Jungle Man is out there playing on someone else's account, which is an obvious breach in TOCs and an obvious huge edge for him. And then it gets like, watered down by saying like other people were doing it. Right? It's like, okay, well then like we just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't care. We don't want to see our heroes fall. And we're willing to accept the fact that by any means necessary, it's okay to gain an edge. And that's fine if that's the way we're going to go about this. But understand, online poker won't exist in 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people think the way Doyle Brunson thinks, where it's like, bro, it's either me or you.
They only think that way when it selfishly helps them, right? When they're the victim, they don't think that way. But like in a situation where it's like, nobody's going to be able to police this. I'm going to pick up a little extra EV by doing this. And, I might be able to rise from this level to this level by putting myself in a position where it looks like I'm doing it all off the back of my own hard work. And it's just like, why not? What's the risk versus reward? The risk is so minimal. It's so tiny. The reward is so massive. The incentives all align to where people should be pursuing real-time solves. They should be pursuing real-time assistance. We already allow it with HUDs. How crazy is it that we've just openly said, it's fine. You guys can data scrape.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
It's moving away though. We're starting to move away from the HUDs. WSOP doesn't have HUDs.
They don't have legal HUDs.
Right. Party poker has gone away with HUDs.
There's workarounds. People are
Yeah.
still using HUDs.
I agree, but now it's cheating, right? Now if you use a HUD,
Yeah, but it's just like, how do you catch them? Because most of the workarounds are done through screen scraping. So it's like until you can put an end to that, this stuff is just going to take place. And, I don't know, man. I don't know what's worse, creating an imbalance of cheaters versus people who are unwilling to break the rules, or just saying like everything is fair game and then letting the whole thing just cannibalize itself.
that's the thing, because it's like a lot of people, saying like, oh, well, when you lose, you're just like, you just say you're being cheated. I think a lot of people use that argument, but it's like right now, like on the screen, we just put up like someone's literally using a real-time solver against
Yeah,
at like the
2%
smallest stakes.
Right. That's the thing is people say it because they don't have any confidence that they're not being cheated. And that's the problem. If you can't create a secure environment where people are certain that when they lose, it's a byproduct of variance or their own poor play, then yeah, you're going to end up with unhappy customers. Like, more so now than ever, I think the crotchety old man from 2003 who was like, I don't trust online poker, it's a scam, is getting a lot closer to right. The technology is just advancing faster than the security of these sites is willing to keep up.
Okay, so in the name of HUDs, there's multiple ways, right? Where it's like some people, like some sites, like you roll over the person's name and it'll say like, or it'll give like a picture of something, like a rock or like a thing or whatever. Then we have the kind of like the Phil Goffon side, where it's like it also has like
I like what they did.
a thing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the WSOP side where it's like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's the full blown stars way where it's like you get everything, you get all the data. Where do you think people like it should fall on the spectrum, where it's like nothing or everything?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I really like the WSOP model, but I can understand the pushback in the sense of it feels bad that we can't collect our own personal data. So like it feels bad that we can't just have, like, if I'm going to play 1 million hands in a year, I would like to be able to come through them and study them. But then again, like secondary to that, I come from a live background where it's like, well, nobody's fucking offering me data collection in the live realm. And even if I could figure out a way to do it, if the casino deemed it to be illegal, then I'm not going to like throw a hissy fit. So like from a purity standpoint, from a health of the game standpoint, from the health of the ecosystem standpoint, no data collection is by far superior. Like nothing good comes from allowing people even to collect their own data.
Well, a lot of people argue, there's a lot of the players like Gags and that group, which said like all of the cheating has been found by players rather than through the data collection.
Anymore.
Not through the operator. So we can't trust the operator to be the enforcer here. That's why we need the data.
Yeah, I think that's less true in a regulated market. You're not going to have a super user issue in a regulated market. And if you do, we should be able to trust that they would catch something like that because they're working with third-party independents now, right? They have Nevada gaming, New Jersey gaming that they have to answer to. So it's not like Russ Hamilton can just be the owner of 888 and backdoor a way in. But even if he were able to, I don't think that really functions anymore because the cheating is so much better. Like the cheating is infinitely better now than it was then. You're just not really going to catch bots through HUD stats and through databases, right? Like it's going to be pretty subtle. Like what we just saw, that's not going to show up in any sort of data analysis, I don't think. I mean, maybe it will because he consistently only bets half pot. So maybe by that standard, like you could find the anomaly of like, oh, this player literally only uses one bet size. But there's bad players. So maybe I guess it would be like the correlation of he only uses one bet size and does well.
There's been some talks that like Rob Young and Rob Young, Phil Nagy, effectively, when they think someone's a bot or they think someone's cheating, like they actually like call them on the phone and just be like, tell me like your strategy of like why'd you do this,
yeah,
etc. And I mean, it seems ironic because I don't know if they're qualified to like answer those questions, but like I'm sure that the call's recorded and then they'll like hand it over to someone that actually does know these situations. So I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough landscape. I don't know the answer. I think that the answer is somewhere along the lines of like being open with like what security measures these people have in terms of like policing this. Like Party Poker has been like relatively open with how they secure their site. PokerStars never open. Like they don't say anything about anything, but we trust that their security is the best out of all of them. But really, why do we trust it? We don't really know. Only because we know like they have like these big figure confiscations that we know. So
I think that if we think about that though, that's like so low level. They're literally catching people on VPNs.
Right.
Like that's not fucking cracking the code.
Yeah.
You know, they're not.
It's the thing that the community is the least concerned about.
Right. It's not, you know, that by all stretch of the imagination is not cheating. It's just, you know, inserting yourself into a market that you're like technically not allowed to be a part of. So it's just like, yeah, that from the community standpoint, we couldn't give a shit less about. Let people VPN. Like that's up to you as the operator, because it's just a matter of like what retributions we potentially have to pay if it's found out that you are accepting VPNs. And largely that just means you won't get into regulated markets, which STARS actually is. So I understand why they're hard on it. The whole point is like, that's not taking money out of people's bottom line. The rampant cheating is, and we never hear of anybody getting caught cheating anymore. Literally nobody. So like, that's my pushback against gags is people are definitely cheating and we don't hear about any of it. So nobody's getting caught. Nobody's combing through their database. There was recently a big thing that Nick Howard discovered through a bunch of mass data analysis where he thought that there was a big cheating ring going on Bovada. But at the end of the day, they didn't prove anything and they still play there. So it's just like we have literally zero peace of mind. There is no comprehension of what security measures are taken. Like, the end of the day, here's the truth of the matter. Online poker is a big business and people are like doing well. Operators are doing well by keeping their customers in the dark. So whatever level of cheating they're willing to accept in order to keep their doors open, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 15%, maybe it's 25%. We don't know. We'll never know. And as long as there's no transparency or exposure to the ACR is the closest thing we see to it, right? There have been massive outing of botting. And the corrective measure was a few little tweaks here and there.
I mean, they gave back a lot of money though, too.
Sure, they gave back a lot of money. Who gives a shit? Like, what does that matter? Right. That doesn't prevent it from happening in the future. So, like, great. They did right by their customers to some degree. We don't know to what degree, but to some degree, right? So they acknowledged that it was happening. That makes it worse, in my opinion.
I mean, it's better than saying it didn't happen when there's
sure, but like, what corrective measures has been taken? A few tweets, a few emails, a redistribution of funds, and then a couple software tweaks. So now all of a sudden we have peace of mind, right? When's the next redistribution coming? Because it didn't stop. Bots didn't suddenly just go, oh shit, they're on to us.
Yeah.
It's over. And ACR is definitely not the only site being botted.
For sure not. I think ACR has done better, I would say. I mean, I didn't play there that long ago, but like I do see, you know, while I'm playing, it'll pop up like prove you're not a bot, and it'll force me, like I'm mid-hand and shit, like, and I'm like, god damn, I have 8 tables up now. I have to fill out this stupid thing like click the traffic lights, and it's like traffic light, submit. And it's like, oh, fuck, I missed the bottom left traffic light. And it's like, do it again. Now it's a dog. Dog. There's a dog behind there. Dog. And it's like, verified, you are a human. And then now I get to play again. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, it's annoying, but I appreciate it. Sure. You know? So,
yeah, I mean, maybe that's, maybe there are better or more measures being taken than I realize. But also, like, I don't know what these botting screens look like, but that doesn't seem like that would be that difficult. To just like every hour on the hour check in to see if the window popped up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wild world out there, man. It's crazy. Like, you know, I used to make fun of the people that were like, oh, you know, like online's rigged, and it's like, all right, it's not rigged, but like there's definitely some weird shit going on. So you're right in that that old man, maybe they're right. You know, the whole thing. Now that I look at it, man, these guys were kind of right. You know, betting for protection is back. Now all of a sudden betting for protection is a thing. Back in the day, it's like, oh, I got to bet to protect my hand. And we were all like, ha, that's not a thing. You either bet for value or as a bluff. And now it's like, wait, no, you could bet
that's because they would bet pot with third pair.
Yeah, you know, the bet sizing was wrong, but the concept was right.
Sure.
The bet sizing was wrong. You know, bet sizing has evolved, but they were onto it. Eventually, if we didn't make fun of them, they would have been like, oh, maybe I could bet smaller.
Right.
For the same. And then we would have been like, yo, this guy's a fucking good player. You know? Now he's just like gone with the wind somewhere. All right. Well, we figured out how to play jacks there. That was the whole point of that situation. But someone that does know how to play jacks, and in the whole vein of cheating, the Postle case was dismissed. And I know that everyone loves talking about this topic. And so that means I'm not getting any money and you're not getting any money. And maybe we'll get some money allegedly from like somewhere, the sky. But there's some classic hands from Postle that you know, in memory of, I would like to play. Because now that it's dismissed and he didn't cheat, these are some fucking amazing hands, man. These are some amazing fucking hands.
The man,
like I have to start cursing because these hands are so phenomenal that in 10 years we're gonna go back and start studying these solves, the Postle solves.
Right.
So with that said, let's play some Postle hands. All right, you see Matt Berkey, you see Christian Soto. All right. All right, so Marley flops a straight. Postle has top pair, backdoor flush draw, and the gut shot. I'm staring him down. Marley bets 200, turns a 4. This is pretty much to go check call pure. Pot 760. Double flush draw board. Marley should go pretty big. She chooses roughly 80-ish% pot. And he just
What bluffs, man? What bluffs?
he just folds.
I'd fold too. What bluffs?
She could have king 10. She could have wait, pause it. Okay. Let's stop right there. Okay. She can have king 10. She can have diamonds. Now he does know that he blocks the queen of diamonds. That's a key card. He has an anti-blocker in his hand. Okay. She can have king 10, ace 10. She can have 7-6. She can have
He's all sounding ambitious, man. This is live poker. She has queen 10.
I think him having, but he has a queen.
Yeah, she has queen 10 offsuit.
So she can have all the queens.
Yeah.
So this is a strong fold.
I actually don't. I mean, look, I think the guy was cheating 100%.
But not in this hand.
No, I think he was cheating in this hand too. He's too bad of a player to just check fold top pair, queen kicker. I think if he weren't cheating, he would have just bet the flop.
No, he was the big blind. He defended.
Oh, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay. In any event, I think he's cheating. I don't think this hand is the greatest example of why he's cheating.
Okay, so
I think people make tight folds.
No,
all the
I
time.
understand. The jury's out.
Sure,
He could, it's tight. She bet really big.
Yeah.
Maybe she's playing a little bit bigger than normal, and maybe he's also playing a little bit bigger than normal. He's not known to be playing 25, 50, 100, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, marginal situation.
Right, like maybe she has kings that she's just overvaluing.
Yeah.
Like you're just
Okay,
screwed.
You're completely right, Berkey. And I've made tight folds in my life, and sometimes they look like that,
Yeah.
And if they always filmed me, they'll be like, "Yo, Chin's a fucking cheater. How did he know that? That's crazy." All right, so let's go to the next clip because every now and then people make tight folds, but people that make tight folds usually don't make like crazy thin value bets.
That's true.
So let's see. Okay, so the game's bigger now. My man Joe B, he's gonna raise to 350, and 5-4 offsuit. From the button. Fuck it. This guy just folded queen jack. Call.
It's a good hand.
He's defending the button. This is a Berkey approved concept.
Button defense.
Yeah. All right. So we're in position. I believe someone else comes in this pot as well with the Jack 10. My man.
Good hand.
My man Matt. He probably should have 3-bet. The King 5. That's gonna give Postle the bottom pair. Checks around because, he could have bet for protection, but whatever. Not a range advantage board for him. All right, so Matt with the most uncapped range, he's gonna bet. He can have a king.
Bet's a little small, sure.
Yeah, but he wants to bet, of why he wants to keep his range intact. He can have a queen, he can have a 5, he can have a draw.
I get it.
Okay. Gets called. This person can have like a queen. He can have queens full. He can have a hand like this as well. So a 5 here ranks to be pretty low, facing a bet and a call. But when you are the GOAT, you just raise because you know exactly where you stand. And you raise to 1,300, a small raise.
He's betting to figure out where he's at.
Oh, okay. So he's betting to figure out where he's at.
Yeah.
You see me there looking like, what the hell's going on? How there's 3 people in the hand. There's only 2 kings on the board. So there's only 2 kings left.
Can we talk about the fact that Marley is wearing a Dents hoodie, which is Chris Delallet swag?
Oh no. Let's leave that one alone for today. Well, that'll be next week's topic. Okay. So now, my man with the Jack 10 folds, but the nut flush draw can't fold because it could dominate other draws.
Sure.
But the dominated draw folded. Okay. So now the river's a 4. So now Postle has the 3 pair, and that would be pretty good situation. Now he found out where he's at. He got called.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So most players would just check.
Yeah.
But
maybe he's bluffing, trying to get him off 6s.
okay, so he's bluffing. So
Maybe trying to get him to fold a queen.
The pot is 4,100. Let's see. If he's bluffing, he would choose a polarized sizing. He puts 2,500.
The game's big. He got scared. He's hedging.
Okay. Let's see. He got snap called.
He got called by ace high?
Well, yeah, so he wasn't bluffing.
I mean, maybe it was.
Nah, come on, man.
Value bluff.
Nah.
How does ace high call?
Because he thought he was dominating the guy's draws. But he thought that Postle had Matt's hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what's worse than that. Man, the ace high call is like insane.
It's debatable who played the hand worse.
It is debatable.
But that was a interesting line. Because he could have just bet the flop.
Yeah.
But he waited until they all picked up equity and then got value.
Right, yeah.
And got value.
Two streets.
And then on the river, he knew. He just knew like, yo, this guy has ace high. Not a queen. Not queens full, which plays exactly like this.
That is the strange thing is that like, so if he wasn't bluffing river, like if he is value betting thin, which the size indicates, he can only get called by ace high.
Yeah. He knew the guy had ace high.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what other hand? What's going on? Okay. On the turn, he got so greedy. On the turn, if you're a good cheater, like those bots online, you would just call the turn.
Right.
And be like, okay, I'm going to call the turn. And then when they all break, I'm going to superhero call the river.
Yeah.
Because that's what would have happened.
Yeah, right.
Instead, he gets greedy, raises the turn, and then bets the river. And now we're talking about it because it's too crazy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He's an innocent man, I guess.
That's not fair. Like, it's just not fair. Like, I mean, the fact that I'm sitting on that table pisses me off. like, I was there. I was at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
Like, I was there at the scene of the crime.
A massacre occurred.
Honestly, like, I remember this.
I played the most hands against him.
You're brave.
I didn't know. I'm getting texts from Marley. She's going, what are you doing? Stop folding to these clowns. The guy to your right is playing any 2 cards. I'm like, he's winning.
Yeah, no shit, he's winning. I remember that hand. That hand, I saw it in real time. And when he showed 5-4, my face just went blank. I was just like, what?
Yeah, I'd walked away from the table and I came back to the river action where it went bet call. And I saw the hand and I'm just like, how am I stuck in this fucking game?
Yeah, that's tilting. It's like, how did he call? Like, okay, even if the guy's cheating, you still should fold. Like you have ace, like you still have a pretty bad hand to call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. So one of the situations that not for the people that don't want to cheat,
Sure.
we have to talk about it. It's a really serious topic, so I'm going to change the page. I'm just going to hand you this paper, and you're going to read exactly what it says from the paper. Okay?
This is highly.
You're
unlikely.
scared, right?
If
You're
you
so
think I
scared?
trust you this well,
Trust me, man.
you're wrong.
This is all right. This is a test of trust.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think I'm going to write? You have to read from the paper, okay? When to
I feel like you could have planned this better.
nah.
Guys, he wrote in fucking cursive. Can you believe in 2020 he expects me to read cursive? All right. The paper says,
They could read.
and I quote,
Wait, let's get that camera angle. There we go.
and I quote, "How do you know when to 3-bet ace queen off?"
That's real. That's the realest question you ever got.
These are the hard-hitting topics we'll be covering in today's vlogcast.
Listen, okay, there's a lot of different formations, okay? I'm just gonna throw formations at you. You're gonna answer them. You have
Okay.
one, you have
Go.
Under the gun.
3-bet.
Under the gun versus under the gun.
3-bet.
Under the gun.
3-bet.
Under the gun.
3-bet.
They're not all 3
It's ace queen. Just 3-bet. What the fuck are you afraid of? Just 3-bet your hand. Just 3-bet the hand.
Okay, hold
Nobody who's watching this is playing in a game tough enough where you have to worry about balancing your flat call range with ace queen off.
I'm gonna cross this out.
Under the gun versus under the gun 1, you're bluffing.
Wait. Here you go.
When you flat ace queen off from the big blind.
Okay. So
Under
the
the gun
button
opens, you're in
opens.
the big blind
The
flat.
button opens and you're in the big blind with ace queen.
3-bet.
Okay. Under the gun opens and you're in the big blind with ace queen.
Flat.
Under the gun opens and you're on the button with ace queen.
I think you can flat there, but I think 3-betting is better.
Okay. Middle position opens and you're in the small blind.
I think 3-betting is better.
You're 350 big blinds deep.
Yeah, I still think 3-betting is better.
You're 50 big blinds deep.
I definitely think 3-betting is better. The whole thing with ace queen off is that it challenges itself to realize all of its equity. So the easiest way to achieve realization is to lower SPR and give yourself the initiative. And generally that's going to happen through 3-betting. In a lot of instances, this just becomes the bottom of our 3-bet range when we're looking at it through the value lens.
Out of position though.
Yeah, I understand.
When you're deep, you don't need ace queen off's a trouble hand.
No, it's not. It's just not. Like, good events occur. If they flat with ace king, it's not that problematic because we have initiative and we're going to win on dry textures at some frequency. And if they 4-bet ace king, it's not that problematic either. It's just like, okay, this was, I mean, depending on size, of course. It could be a 5-bet bluff sometimes. It could be a fold sometimes. It could be a 3-bet call sometimes.
Wait. You said a 5-bet?
5-bet bluff. Yeah. If you're 350 blinds deep. Yo, I have 5-bet Ike with king 5 suited.
Okay. Let me write this down. I ran out of paper.
Thank God.
So UTG opens and you're in the small blind, you flat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the button opens and you're in the big blind. It's a value 3-bet. Okay. So he makes it, let's say we're playing 5-10 no limit.
Okay.
Good game.
Yeah.
He makes it 25.
Okay.
At the win, you're not allowed to open with 5s. But this is the Bellagio.
Sure.
Okay. And
I like that rule.
now we're in the big blind, right? Let's say we are $2,000 deep.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're in the big blind. We make it 75 for value, right? No. Okay. But we're only 85.
No.
60?
No.
What?
I
Bigger?
would be between 100 and 125.
125?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And why is that, Burke?
For all the things I just said, you have a hand that its number one property is showdown value, so it needs to realize its equity. It's polarizing in nature. So like hands like ace king off, ace queen off, you don't have to 3-bet them always, but when you do, you need to go large and you need to fit it with other hands.
But if we go so big, how do we get called by worse?
What do you mean? He's on the button getting laid a price. He's going to call with worse.
But if we lay him a better price, wouldn't he call with worse?
Yeah, but then SPR is high and we don't get to realize our equity at the same frequency.
Yes, it almost feels like you've thought about this.
Maybe once or twice.
Okay. So 125 because the polarizing with the not polarizing hand.
It's not a polarizing hand.
Okay, but it's not
Hand
like
polarizes fine.
but it's not like a value hand. It's like a middle hand.
There's no such thing as
Stop looking
value
at me like
because
that.
you're making up words. There's no such thing as value before the river. You just have a spectrum of equity. Ace queen is a very high equity hand.
So it's on the high equity raise for more money in the pot with high equity hand.
Yeah, that's what we like to do in poker.
Okay, we got it. Okay, so all right, so we raised with a lot of equity and we made it 125 because we trying to decrease the SPR going to the flop.
Right.
Okay, but now he made it 325.
Okay.
Now I'm scared. Now I don't know because you told me to put in more money, but I didn't have a plan for this.
Well,
He made it 325.
should have had a plan for it.
So I should just fold because
If you don't have a plan, you should fold for sure.
well, look, because in the game of who's putting in more money with the higher equity, he's saying he has a good hand.
Sure.
And I don't know if my hand is worth $325. Ace queen's not worth $325.
I don't think you need to call the 325 ever. I think you can make it like 700 with a range, and it doesn't need to include ace king. It could just be like jacks plus ace king, and that's it doesn't need to include ace queen. It could just be like jacks plus ace king, and that's totally fine.
So we're just value raise for
There's no such thing as value. We're just tightening up our equity versus a tight range.
So we're tightening up our equity.
This kid thinks he's funny.
I like this game.
I'm sure you do.
So now what do we do with tens? I'm just kidding.
I would have 3-bet smaller with tens.
Oh, because that's a different equity spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to 3-bet smaller with tens, but if I'm 3-betting, let's put it this way, if I'm 3-betting wider than tens, so if I have hands like king, queen, queen, jack suited, tens, nines, if I have all of those hands, then I'm going to have two sizes.
Okay, so one is like a big size and one is like a small size.
Yeah. Not necessarily small, but closer to your initial inclination of like 75.
So the 75 is the king queen suited size.
You can't qualify it as a hand.
I'm representing the public right
king
now,
queen
okay?
suited.
I am the
king,
public
queen suited.
lawyer, all right? And you have to help me, okay?
The smaller size will be a linear range. So it'll be
Like ace queen off.
no, like ace queen suited.
But ace queen suited is better. What do we want to put more money with the better one?
No, because it doesn't need the same denial properties.
Okay.
It performs well after the flop. It realizes equity at a much greater frequency, right? Ace queen suited will over realize compared to ace queen off.
Got it. Okay,
So
because
ace king off, ace queen off, queens, kings, they fit the bigger size very nicely.
Okay.
Nines, tens, jacks, king queen suited, ace queen suited, ace king suited, and aces fit the smaller size nicely.
Because they hit harder.
They just realize their equity better. They get to showdown more frequently.
So they don't get blown off.
Right.
Okay. So now the flop comes, right? Let's say we didn't get 4-bet. We just made it 125 and he called with his
Why are we doing
with his hand because the people wanted this, okay? They get a little section. Like give the people a little 20 minutes of your time, Berkey. Like I know you charge like $500, for 30 minutes, but like the people here, they tuned in, they're invested. They're setting up the Patreon account as we speak. Let's get the little board of Jack 9-3, Burke. The Jack 9-3 rainbow. The Jack of spades. We have the ace of spade.
Are we suited or not?
Nah, we got the offsuit. You told me to make it 125. Now a very innocuous Jack 9-3 board comes out. Now what do we do? I feel like I don't want to give up. What should I give up?
I think Betting and checking are both fine.
Oh man.
I think this hand performs very well through a check call, but most people aren't going to feel comfortable taking that strategy.
So I check call.
I personally would be checking a lot on this texture and calling a lot, yes. But I think that...
Because he could be bluffing, right?
Yeah.
With like King 10.
King 10, King Queen, Queen 10,
Okay.
Ace High,
So we're bluff catching.
suited connectors. There's a lot of hands he can start going off with.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's change the board one more time. So it's King 9-3.
Okay.
Check call, right? Because he could be bluffing with Jack 10 and Queen Jack and...
You could. I think it still does okay through a check call, but I think you have more bets in your range as a whole. This is more of a range bet board. So like I would be more inclined to bet small, I think. We'd put a lot more pressure on pocket pairs on this texture.
So we went from the bet big pre to the bet small, and then the sometimes check call. What the fuck?
Poker's easy, man.
Okay.
Super easy.
Okay, so next week, we'll get to the turn.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Sure.
So right now, I have the breakdown of Ace Queen. This is going to be a segment, Ace Queen only.
Uh-huh.
If you are facing LP and you are the BB, make it 5x. On Jack 9-3, check call. Because he could be bluffing. But you don't want to check fold.
Look, I don't want this to turn into I'm going to go do this. Just think about the fucking spot, man.
This is the spots.
Yeah, think about it. You don't just get to say like, oh, Berkey said to check call. That's not a thing.
Tighten up.
Have a strategy.
Tighten up equity.
The way you develop a strategy is not to examine a formation and say, oh, what would I do on this board? What would I do on this board? What would I do? That's not how it works, man. You have to zoom out and you have to say, what are the incentives of my range given texture X, Y, and Z? And then you follow those incentives. And then you look and see like what hands don't fit those incentives very well. Like, oh, well, top set doesn't fit that incentive very well. Or overpairs don't fit that incentive very well. So we'll do something slightly different, which means we'll have to fit some hands of low equity in that region as well. It's all about balance. Balance.
If you're out there and you have a real-time solver, hit me up. I'm looking. I'm on the market. I'm in the market for the real-time solver. Okay? Because, I don't know, 5x, tighten up equity range, sometimes flat, Jack 9-3, check call, bet, King 9-3, sometimes. All right. Next week, ace jack offsuit. Okay?
Just fold. Just fold. Everybody just play tight. Stay tight.
Tighten up the equity range. That was you. That's what you said. I wrote it down. All right, Burke. So I will continue the show now to another topic. It seems like you were very this week was like your research week. You were researching the 13th. You were on Netflix.
I didn't research it. I watched it 2 weeks ago.
It was research.
I'm sure.
You know, you were big on the incarceration. So I want to switch the topics to a little bit more serious. We had a lot of jokes today. We gave the people what they want. Joey Giles is out there. He subscribed. He liked the video. Just like everyone else that's in the chat right now subscribed and liked the video. Right? And that was the part of the show where we spoke a lot about poke. And now we get to talk about your favorite topics. Incarceration. So let's play the video of the 13th. And let's talk about how potentially people are being over incarcerated. That's what you want to talk about?
No.
This was your topic. This literally says, when I was handed by production, it says Berkey's topic.
No, this was supposed to be a part of the Sam Harris thing, but I didn't want to get into it.
Ah, okay. Next week, ace jack off. Next week, 13th Amendment. That's fine. That's fine, Berkey. No problem. So let's go back to now, Jacks. Is that okay with you?
Just fold. Just fold your hand.
So we're deleting a whole section of the show. It would have been nice if you told me this, Berk, before the show started. Okay.
Jacks here in late position. I chose to call because I had a couple aggressive players here, and I just want to be sure there aren't any big cards up
Yeah,
there.
you don't want those big cards to come.
Conservative style rock player here, as it's showing in my tournament.
Okay. Fuck. Well. Why the hell do I need that for? What do you mean? Hey, okay. All right. Let's talk about homeschool. We've gone now to week number 3. What do you feel is different from the last homeschool to this homeschool? What are you teaching? How do you feel like you've improved as a coach, as a teacher, as a poker player, as a human, and as a man?
Sure, that's a lot. I think it is a little bit different this time around, mainly by happenstance. Hunt has been doing a lot of work with like aggregate solves and effectively like Brian Roy, one of our students, developed a
Real-time solve.
No. But like basically he organized a bunch of data into a distribution curve that demonstrated like how much advantage the preflop raiser has versus or actually maybe it was by position, out of position versus in position. And it was any 2 cards versus any 2 cards. So it kind of like gave a distribution of how all flop subsets impact these 2 ranges. And it was a good way of visually demonstrating how range advantage works, both in accordance to position as well in accordance to flop texture. And from there, Hunt just kind of like went nuts. And he's been digging through all this data and kind of demonstrating a lot behind like range advantage, behind equity realization properties, and all of that has been concentrated into the labs that he's been doing, which has been really helpful because the main crux of what I put a lot of work into for both homeschools is the idea of the capitalization model. And I don't know if it's unique to us, but I haven't seen it or heard it anywhere else. But effectively, like if you think of it as a Venn diagram, equity realization is a byproduct of capitalization, but doesn't necessarily have to occur through aggressive methods, right? So there's an overlap between betting and realizing your equity, but you can also just like realize your equity through other methodologies.
The square and the rectangle game.
No.
Okay.
No. Kind of, yes, but not entirely. And secondarily, polarization is a byproduct of capitalization and almost never of realization. So going from a passive action to a polarizing action doesn't really occur in strategy very often. So what Hunt's been working on has kind of illuminated like why that's true. And most of it is just founded in advantage, in realization properties, over realizing, under realizing, things of that nature. What it's saying, what it's dictating in layman's terms is it's very difficult to be the passive actor who suddenly chooses a polarizing bet size. So like what you won't see happen very often, there's probably like some unique situations where it can occur or it occurs very well through an exploit. But like what you won't really see is somebody check call flop and then lead for pot on the turn. It's just like kind of not a thing.
It's not a thing.
So that's like a good example of like shifting from realization to polarization. So, I basically developed this model to demonstrate like how it can be a 2-way transfer between realization, capitalization, and realization, right? Effectively saying that, we can basically go from passive to aggressive or aggressive to passive, but it has to happen in a sequential way where you will see people check call and then lead third pot. That's reasonable. I don't know what you want from me, man. Are you good?
That was hard.
Okay, then you talk about it.
No,
Why don't you talk about homeschool?
No. I appreciate it. I thought I was getting lost in the passive of that was hard. All right, guys. We got it. Hey.
I got a text. Go ahead.
We're live.
No, go ahead. You're running the show.
All right, Berkey got a little mad on that one. Sometimes, you gotta play. You gotta, sometimes not all the jokes land. Not all the jokes land. Berkey didn't like that one. It's all right. All right, well. All right, I guess that's the show. That's the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will wrap it up here. It's been roughly an hour, and we got some topics for next week. We got Ace Jack off. We got Ace Jack off. We got the 13th, maybe some Sam Harris. I hope you all enjoyed the show. And with that said, it's a wrap.
Thank you.